The show is called Titans of Tomorrow, and this week's guest can only be described as a titan. Introducing Josh Bridgman.
I've been blessed to be put in this situation right now. I've been blessed with the mindset. I've been blessed with the genetics. I've been blessed with the upbringing, the privilege that I've had being brought up, having great parents. I would be a fool to not absolutely capitalize on everything and take it to the absolute top.
120 kilos of lean mass, Josh is a monster. Founder of a multi-six-figure-a-year brand, One More Rep, a notable influencer, and an IFBB Pro bodybuilder. All I can say is I'm pumped for this podcast.
Bodybuilding is very genetically dominated. So there is a lot of hard work and whatever, but you're given what you're given, really. The moment I stepped on that stage, it was like a drug, man. This is one of those moments that I didn't know I'd been searching for, but it felt like I had been searching for it the whole time when I had experienced it.
The guy who uses more anabolics is more likely to win, or is it not really like that?
There's a genetic component to how well you take to them. I know guys who could take half of what I do and they're bigger. I know guys who could take double and they're smaller. But on paper, fortunately, more does do more, which is where I think people can run away with it.
Is there a peak in bodybuilding that you know you're still getting there?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode. Today we are joined by Josh Bridgman over here. And in the name of the show, Titans of Tomorrow, I think this is a very suitable guest. Josh, thank you for coming on. Before we do start, I just wanted to say we've never met before, and this is basically the first conversation we're having right on camera, but I respected a lot that how approachable you were, that you have a lot of followers, you have a lot of people probably DMing you, and you made it very easy and smooth to just collaborate today. You're just a DM away and you're like, yep, let's do it. I'm here for 5 days. So, bro, thank you for coming on.
Appreciate it.
Pretty sure we're going to have a good conversation.
For sure, man. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
So how long are you in Dubai for?
So in this little stint, 5 days, yeah. I was here for 4 weeks just before, and I was kind of had a little holiday in between. So
and how are you finding out here?
It's good, man. I've had a lot of experience in Dubai. I'm grateful for. My dad lived out here for a good 10 years, so many trips over the years from the UK. I kind of got I know where the roots are, but even since he left 2.5 years ago, like so much has changed. Dubai is one of those places. Every time you come back, you're like, what's happened?
What's new? Yeah, new building every time, yeah.
So, I've been really, really enjoying it. I would say I've fallen in love with the place, which I haven't done over that last 10 years. But this time when I've kind of given myself to it, I think I've really enjoyed it. Yeah.
What's changed for you this time around?
I think the mindset approach, like I kind of came in with the approach of like, I'm leaving all the other times. This time, like, right, you got to find your feet. You got to kind of spread your wings. First time I've wanted to leave the country. And I think just in my business, my sport, it's become a hub here, so I kind of just I felt like I just slotted right in, walked into that gym. Obviously I'm a professional bodybuilder, so walked straight into the gym. I felt at home, and all of the amenities and the conveniences of Dubai just align perfectly with what I do. And who I am.
I noticed as well when you want to do a delivery or something in the UK or whatever, it's Pizza Hut and McDonald's. But here you can even get healthy options and everything.
It's incredible, yeah.
So where are the biggest hubs you would say for bodybuilding? There's Gold's Gym in the US.
Yeah, it's probably less of a. That's probably more of like the one that like the general population though. I would say like people go, where's bodybuilding? Arnold. They think Venice Beach. But I think bodybuilding has changed a little bit. So there's more. Gold's Gym isn't that well equipped. Like if you're a little bit of a nerd about like bodybuilding, like it's not that well equipped. So go do it, experience it. But I couldn't have that as my full-time gym. I'd say the main hubs at the moment, you'll be looking at places like Tampa. You've got MI40 over there, which is incredible. Vegas has started to become one. I think it's just for bodybuilders, naturally they can be anywhere. They're going to float towards those places where it's tax favorable. Like Vegas has just become one of those places. And then you've got places in Canada, so Vancouver, Toronto, 2 places there, and then Dubai and Kuwait as well, I'd say.
I've never been to Bino's gym. How is it? Is it good?
It depends on who you are. Okay. I think for the average person, just to walk in there, it could be a little bit intimidating.
It is, yeah.
I think there's more testosterone in the women there than there are the men. So it could be a little bit intimidating, but for someone like me, I feel at home. I walk in there, it's very well equipped. It's got amenities that you need. It's super clean. I mean, so is Dubai in general. Super clean, super safe. You can leave your stuff on the side, walk around the other side of the gym, which is something you can't quite do in the UK. So it's been really good.
I've been, as we said off camera, I've been following your journey for maybe 7-8 years, a very long time. As you said, I'm an OG. And one of the noteworthy things about yourself was your routine and discipline. And I can see you're fixed in your own ways, and you're not too impressionable with people around your comments or anything like that. But I wanted to know, is it important your environment in terms of the gym space or the bodybuilders around you, or is it more like tunnel vision, do your own thing?
I think you have a little bit of both. I think when the environments can get taken away from you, from whatever circumstances. Like I had the perfect environment at one point in London. I had my two best friends, who were both bodybuilders. One of them stopped bodybuilding. The other one moved away. And you're on your own. What do? You give up? No, you've got to have that discipline to stick to it. So you've got to have a little bit of both. Like if you've got the option, environment is just so important. I actually left London for a better environment. I left London, went to Bournemouth, where one of my other best friends, who is now a professional bodybuilder as well, and we just were on that road together, And I think in most disciplines, but specifically bodybuilding, like environment, it is going to give you a competitive advantage when you get, and especially as you climb the ladder and you start coming against these other guys. I guess in any sport, football, rugby, anything, like the people around you who are better at it, like they've got other people pushing them, always trying to be better. And if you're just doing that as a lone wolf, you either got to be in that 0.001% of genetics, mindset, motivation, or it ain't happening.
When did you realize you wanted to switch from maybe a hobby when it started to then more professional?
It definitely started as a hobby. Definitely started as something that I just kind of got recognized as just like having bodybuilding is very genetically dominated. There is a lot of hard work and whatever, but you're given what you're given, really. And obviously I kind of got the compliments. I got pushed into trying it. I tried it, and the moment I stepped on that stage, it was like a drug, man. It's just like, okay, this is one of those moments that I didn't know I'd been searching for, but felt like I had been searching for it the whole time when I had experienced it. So the moment I started, that's 2014. So a good 8 years ago was when I first stepped on stage. I trained before that, did a lot of sport, a lot of football, a lot of rugby. And in doing that, he had to kind of progress physically. So it was always a background part of it, but never at the forefront.
So how did you find it? Because Alex as well, he was a high-level athlete in terms of playing football or soccer. And, I guess you were very in the team environment and your teammates would push you. And I guess you too with rugby and football. And then eventually transition into a lone wolf. And okay, you have your gym partners, but they do come and go. And you have different goals in the end. What was that transition like from going from a team player to now it's just you and yourself and the blame is all on you, the success is upon you? Yeah. How did you find that?
It was very strange. So there's points I miss. Like I miss showing up every weekend to compete rather than once or twice a year. That's quite hard. Like it's also a different type of thing. Like you have to work and work and work and work and work just for the one day rather than consistently in the background. So it was a little bit of a weird transition. But you just refocus the competitiveness day by day. What did I do last week? All right, well, that's what I'm competing against. I've got to try to beat that last week. What did my physique look like 6 months ago? That's what I'm competing against. And you got to kind of just reframe how you're looking at it, really, rather than those week on week. So definitely suited my lifestyle, though. As I grew up, when I was younger, I had to be in those crowds, Jack the Lad, like loud. That was kind of my vibe. And it just changed. Like it just changed as I grew up a little bit, as I met new people, kind of experienced new cultures, different mentalities. Going to university, that was that. I went to Loughborough University, which is notoriously like a culture melting pot. Like there's so many different people because it's like pretty prestigious. So I'm from a small town in Gloucestershire where 99.9% of people are white. They don't want to leave. They don't understand what anything else is outside that town. So experiencing that at university was just like, oh, here's my eyes open.
There's a world out here.
Exactly. And that just completely changed me as a person. And became a little bit more of a lone wolf. Like that's how I felt. I felt content on my own, competing with myself week on week. And
how you deal with that? Because, for example, we come from another industry, we're traders, and one of the things, the reason why we found each other, Wakar, we also have another partner, is Wali's not here today. The reason why we found each other is because there were some times that being alone was kind of difficult, and it's a very solo industry in general, even though we've done it as a three. So had any more struggles into your...
I think social media. I think that's kind of where I felt. I was go back to thinking I spent a lot of my childhood technically alone, but I was on the Xbox with my boys, you know, so I wasn't alone. You have that connection virtually. And that was what I found with bodybuilding. Maybe not when I first started because no one knew what it was. But when you go to the events and you go to compete, you go, oh, have you got Instagram? Yeah, okay, let's exchange. You start talking to them, you build relationships. And then as social media grew with fitness, it's huge now. You just kind of like, I know everyone in the industry, they know me. We've never met, but you feel like you know each other and you kind of have that connection. So that's probably the outlet. Seeing other people do it. My feed is full of people doing the same thing. Don't have to be around them, but it feels like I am when I pick up my phone.
Yeah, also because when you're on the stage or you're competing, I'm not knowledgeable on the field, but you're competing against yourself, I imagine. Like there could be other people in there, but it's the work that you've put over the past 6 months and how it's been your discipline, and then of course the genetics you have and all of this come into play. So is there a lot of rivalry between competitors, or is like a friendly environment?
Yeah, there's definitely like characters who like to generate the rivalry, but as a generalization, it's very much like we've all done this together, guys. Like let's go out there, let's enjoy this. The way the cookie crumbles is the way the cookie crumbles, but it's very like camaraderie. Actually, it's very much like everyone's like been through the same process, absolutely killed themselves to get where they are. Been through that slog of a long preparation, pulling off every ounce of body fat you have, and you'll look at each other, you think, yeah, not many people can do this, you know. So you have that, yeah, exactly. You have that kind of camaraderie, that brotherhood. So yeah, it's very positive, actually, very, very positive.
So I really, the reason I really wanted to have a conversation with yourself on this format was you're in a completely different industry, but the things you do, they are very transferable. The skills you've developed in one field, they're applicable to life, business, and so forth. Namely discipline, routine, having a goal. One thing that I found a lot of people struggle with is they're very orientated on the outcome. And let's say for some people, I want to be a millionaire or I want to be a cash millionaire. But that might be 10 years down the road. And they might feel motivated one day, but motivated comes and goes. You might listen to a YouTube video, you're motivated, the next day you feel lazy. So always your underpinning has to be a discipline format. And that's kind of what a lot of people talk about. But what I find interesting is if you can kind of shorten that horizon or put milestones along the way, then you're kind of rewarding yourself, not on the 10-year goal, but more like maybe a weekly goal. And for yourself, it all rides on one day maybe where you've done everything for your lifetime, and then maybe a 2-3 month cut to be prepared for one day. And anything can happen. You get sick 3 days before, or whatever can happen. The guy competing against has just been in the game longer than you, and it might be your best physique that year, but the lineup was not favorable. And then you can have a very defeatist mentality of, man, I did all of that for nothing, or you victimize yourself. So how do you navigate from, first of all, not having that just putting all on one day, but it's more day to day, or rewarding yourself in certain ways? And then how do you stop the thing of, it might have been your best performance, it might have been your best package, but it wasn't the best on that day, but you still did the best you could have. How do you navigate that of like, I did good, but I still lost kind of thing?
Yeah.
How do you navigate that feeling?
Definitely a difficult one. I'm very competitive. I'm very, very competitive. So I've always said to my partner over there, like, if I'm not first, I feel last, regardless if it's the best version of me. Like, that's just a thing that's innately in me. So dealing with that is quite hard for sure sometimes. I think I'm a realist as well. Like I have pretty realistic expectations of how well I'm going to do, which definitely helps with the blow of maybe not achieving it, because I potentially knew that this year. This year actually was probably one of the ones I kind of thought I was going to achieve it, and I kind of got a reality check, which was probably welcomed. I think I try and take a lot of lessons from other people. I try and take a lot of lessons from the guys who are at the top, and you kind of go back through their resume, and like, they lost more times than they won still, and they might be 10-time winners. They still lost more times than they won. And I think that's where I try and just bring myself back to. In my game, it's a little bit different. Like, I use anabolic steroids for anyone watching. So like, there is like a risk aspect to it. So if the risk ever did outweigh what I perceive as my reward, like I definitely would pull back.
Is there like a fine line between using anabolics and health, obviously, but also like the guy who uses more anabolics is more likely to win? Is it kind of like who can tolerate more compounds? Or is it not really like that? Because I actually saw Sebum. He said, I saw a video literally the other day. He was like, there's guys that look like trash and they take 10 times what any of us are taking. And it's actually like, it's predominantly genetics, actually.
Exactly. So there's a genetic component to how well you take to them. You know, I know guys who could take half of what I do and they're bigger. I know guys who could take double and they're smaller.
It's crazy.
There's definitely like risk mitigation you can do. There are smarter ways to do things, you know, not just aimlessly carry on for years without checking some blood work, your blood pressure, the things that keep you alive, which a lot of people do, unfortunately. But on paper, unfortunately, more does do more, which is where I think people can run away with it. Which is why I'm happy that I feel like I'm a realist, because it's very easy to kind of lose your head in the game. And if I was consistently just not getting what I wanted to achieve, but pumping this stuff into me, I think I'm like, come on, bro, you got to have that realistic effect and realistic view on things, and have a put and stop, basically. And I would happily say, if I get to the point where I feel like I'm not good enough, I'll just stop like tomorrow, you know. But I think a lot of people, when it's their only thing, it's the only thing they think about, they keep pushing the boundary. So it's difficult. It is genetically dominant. So whether you can see that in yourself or not is pretty difficult.
Does that not make it very hard to then compete? Because everybody knows that they show up and the work they've done will be a representation, and everybody tries to control their controllables, and that's your diet and your workout and so forth. But there's a huge element which is an uncontrollable, which is your genetics.
Yeah.
And when does someone come to find out, okay, my genetics are not up to par? Is it kind of when you've put in 10 years, or can you see from early on?
Yeah, I think you can see from early on, personally.
Okay.
I think, do you get compliments on how you look? Like, do people go, are you on steroids already? And you're not? Like,
Okay.
I was getting that for years. I've still competed more times naturally, longer naturally,
Alright.
than I have been on steroids. I've been on steroids for, this will be my 5th year, but I've been competing for 10. Okay, maybe we're about even now. I've lost track of time, but I competed more times still when I was naturally. So I was beating guys who weren't natural. Like, there was just a quite clear genetic advantage that I had. I think you can see it.
What pushed you to end up taking them? It was a competitive aspect, or it was more like you knew that with that jump you could actually excel?
Yeah, for me it was, I was never going to achieve what I wanted to achieve. My physique goal, I thought it was for a very long time naively achievable naturally. It just wasn't for me personally. And there are guys who could probably come sit in here and you go, oh damn, he's bigger than me, and he's natural. There are guys like that.
Yeah.
There are really guys like that. Just, can anyone find them? Like, no, they're like in the corner somewhere. You can't find them because they're so rare. I'm not in that rarity. So for me, in order to get to where I wanted to achieve, which is to be the best in the world. Like, that is a genuine goal. I can sit here and say, I want to be the best in the world. It's not feasible. It's not possible without the use of anabolics. And I kind of came to that realization. I was 25, I'm 30 now. So 5 years ago, about November time, so just over 4.5 years now, I just went, right, this is after years of deliberating, going back and forth, because I was very proud to be natural for a long time, because I was beating these guys, but it just didn't fulfill where I wanted to go. Was
there part of you that was tempted? Because you see a lot of people that abuse, and they'll take anabolics just to go on holiday, or just to look good on Instagram or whatever. Whereas your vision was always orientated to be a professional with it. Mm-hmm. Was there part of you that was also inclined to do it for the social validation, or you knew your business would do better because as you look better, you're more reputable and so forth? Was also that social element in it, or was it actually just an internal decision?
Completely internal. I still say to this day, for me, it's bodybuilding first. I might sound stupid, but I'd give up everything to just be the best in the world. I truly would. So it was always bodybuilding oriented. Yeah, it helped my business. I'm not gonna lie. People do it to help their business. Like, I'm bigger. I can just do a video in my vest and people just want to stare because it's just, I'm at that size, right? So it does help. It has a tangible effect on my business, but I wasn't thinking about it in my decision. I probably wasn't even earning money to consider that it would help my business at that point. So,
how many more years are you planning to do them? And is there a peak in bodybuilding that you know you're still getting there, or where are you in that terms?
So I do reset my timelines. I'd say 35. I'm 30 now. So 5 more years. I think if I'm not the best in the world by then, I'm done. I'll be done. I think in my specific class, the classic physique, like, there is a weight cap. So once I reach that, like, you can't really improve. Like, you're done. So I think within 2 years, in my estimation, within 2 years, I should be fighting for those top 5 to top 10 in the world. Top 5, 5 years, I should be knocking on the door. In my opinion, is where I should be. And if I'm not, I'll call it.
You know, I've been following along in the fitness scene for a while yourself, and I guess the golden age of the fitness industry with Guzman and Matt August and
that's the golden age right there.
The really OGs. I guess maybe you were inspired by them too.
They were the guys. Yeah, they were the guys.
Yeah. You know, just through following all these guys, I've kind of seen, especially the ones that are doing daily vlogs, you kind of see the mentality and the mindset that they really get into, and beyond just the ordinary discipline and these kind of things is way crazier. And when I was watching it, you know, the algorithm pushes to you this kind of content, you kind of feel like everyone's doing it, but then you take a step back, it's like, no, this is a very niche specific kind of mindset and group. And with that comes mental barriers and challenges that I've seen, where you'd see a guy that looks completely insane, you know, and they'll look insane to any ordinary person, but you can see in their words and their language that they don't feel it themselves. They feel like, okay, I'm not big enough, or I'm not good looking enough, and maybe a form of bigorexia, I guess. Have you ever had any mental challenges like that, where you know you are an incredible athlete and you've taken a science with an art and you've blended it together to what you are, but in the middle of a prep, you might be like, oh man, I'm not lean enough, or whatever metric you're looking at. Do you ever have these challenges?
Daily.
Yeah.
Daily. Yeah, it's insane. I probably said today, literally, like, I'm feeling a bit, you know, because that bar of what feels great to you just like it consistently moves up. So you can, like, you're I'm obviously bigger than 99% of people, but sometimes I'm not feeling it today. I might put on a longer sleeve, you know, like I'd still have that battle every single day. It's all relative, right? It's all relative. So I definitely have those moments. A little bit more challenging in preparation when you're trying to give everything to a goal, and you think, oof, like I might not be ready on time. I might just get smoked on stage, and that'll be embarrassing, you know. So you definitely get forced with those. They do say, like, the day you set foot in the gym is the day you never be happy with your physique, right? Because you just kind of like constantly chasing this unattainable. But like I'm generally content day to day. Just I look at myself from a competitive standpoint always. That's the thing. I wonder whether, and I do wonder this, like whether when the competitiveness takes away from it, whether I'll just be fine, because I'll just naturally be bigger than most people. I'll feel confident. I won't be pushing the extremes of things. In fact, like a lot of the guys who have managed to pull away from bodybuilding, like they just get they either go one or two ways. They come straight back because they can't hack it, or they're the happiest they've ever been because they're not tied to their physique anymore, and they've just dissociate themselves with the physique. So it'll be more of a battle when I stop this game, I think.
Another thing I noted in these vlogs is obviously you have to be super disciplined with your food, and I found it too when I've dabbled in this kind of stuff. Is I'll go through working days and I'll be just at my computer working all day, and I won't even think about food. I won't even eat all day, and hunger doesn't cross my mind. Then the moment I decide I'm dieting, 10 minutes later I'm hungry. I'm like, this makes no sense. It's more like the more you think about it, the more of a problem it becomes. Especially when you're in a prep and you know your whole life right now is about your diets and your cardio and everything. Sure. You know, you can probably have a very challenging relationship with food. And 100%. I've seen it in basically everyone, where the moment the show is done, it becomes a huge relapse, and it's because they've abstained, and now, you know, they divulge, and that pendulum I can imagine is mentally challenging. Very. Do you feel a lot of people have the opposite side of anorexia to now this kind of food eating disorders within the industry? For sure.
I've only mastered it the last 2 years.
All right. Okay.
Really, I've only mastered it the last 2 years, and it was before that. You also have like actual hormone dysregulation in your hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin. One signals you're full, one signals you got cravings. They're just whoop. They're absolutely whoop. This is why a lot of people go on those 500 calorie diets, Atkins diet, short diets. Well, when you stop, your body is telling you you're hungry, and if you're not trained, if you haven't earned this skill of understanding what your body's doing, you know, how to cope with the rebound, you just listen to the body. You just keep eating. Of course you do. So that's something that I really, really struggled with in my earlier years, for sure. but it doesn't make you feel good. And that was my lesson learned. It was not feeling great. Look, coming from the best you've ever looked to sticking 2 stone, 15 kilos on in 10 days. It's not good.
Wow.
It's not good. So I've mastered the skill now. But yeah, you see it all the time. See it all the time.
So it's actually all mental. It sounds like
all mental.
It's from mental of showing up, mental to sticking to your diet, not letting your competitive side get too far, or all of these things. It's all a mental game.
For sure. Yeah. And like on both ends of the spectrum, like at no point is like I call it not an eating disorder. It's just disordered eating. Like you're just consistently like tracking what you're doing, whether you're going all the way up high to stupid calories, all the way low, like all year, you're constantly weighing what you're doing. It's like once you do that for years, you can't get away from it.
So I come from different sports than bodybuilding. I've done tennis and football. All of them require, a lot of discipline, and then a part of talent that comes with the genetics that you have, for example, to do bodybuilding. But I feel, just of the way you speak and the way you speak about all these terms, I feel like bodybuilding has that obsessiveness part into it, that unless you are hella obsessed, you will not reach that level, even though you are genetically pro to it and everything. So how do you deal mentally with that?
A lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. I think much like it's a difficult one. I think there's always going to be someone who is probably working harder than you. So dealing with having to try and do that, because I want to be the best. So you got to do what the best do.
You got to be obsessed, actually.
You got to be obsessed. I just think immediately when you start thinking about Ronaldo, does he have a day off? No. When he's on holiday, does he have a day off? No. He's probably got a cryo chamber. He's probably doing a workout in the morning. He's probably eating right. He doesn't want to have that cheat meal. He's not eating McDonald's. That's 365, 24/7 for the last 15, 20 years, whatever he's been doing that for. That's immediately what I go to. I think about that. I immediately get my brain straight to the top guys. They don't have days off. They don't ever have days off. And I just think you got to have that hunger, that obsession, that just irrational obsession, where that normal people go, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't need to. Like, this just makes sense for me, So
you're right in saying it doesn't have to make sense to the average person, because if you want to make a politically correct snowflake statement, you'll be like, have your balance and whatever. But then you look at the upper echelons of any industry, and anybody who's achieved anything significant, they've been obsessed with whatever their craft is. And even ourselves, we look at lines on a screen and we find enjoyment in that. We find I can hear in your voice when you speak about it, you're vibrating in a way that you can tell it's your passion, and the drive you have is within you. It's a passion you found. And to a lot of people, it might not even make sense. And we get the same. It's like, you guys just sit in front of a screen and you just do this and that. And it's like, and it's actually a lot of fun too. Yeah. But no, I think obsession is a character trait of anyone who achieves anything significant. I read it was actually on a podcast. Somebody mentioned that the best CEOs or the top CEOs, what character traits did they have in common? And one of them was obsession. Another one was very strong tolerance to stress, which I can imagine in any industry applies. Another one was the ability to abstain from things, or the ability to say no, therefore a format of discipline. And another one was that, which I found very interesting, was a superiority complex. Again, doesn't sound very, politically correct, but a lot of these top CEOs or whoever, you think, why do they want to drive themselves to such levels? It's because they feel like they deserve more. They feel like they are better than the average person. Doesn't mean you carry yourself with any arrogance or pride, but it's more like, I need to do more, I deserve more, and for the people around me, I want to do more. Do you think these traits are within yourself too?
100%. I'm just thinking, that's when you're out there.
We could see that smile.
There's no shame in it. There's no.
He wasn't shaking. You could see the smile.
Yeah, I kind of say it like the way I phrase it anyway, or the way I say it is like, I've been blessed to be put in this situation right now. I've been blessed with the mindset. I've been blessed with the genetics. I've been blessed with the upbringing, the privilege that I've had, being brought up, having great parents. Like, I would be a fool to not absolutely capitalize on everything and enjoy every single bit of it, and take it to the absolute top. Because who gets dealt cards to make stupid money, live in a dream? It's something that they think about all the time. If it doesn't feel like work, not many people. So just send it, you know, one life, get after it, boy.
Yeah, plus those traits that you were mentioning, when you come from a background of an athlete like yourself, I come from football, and I remember those weekends of a lot of stress or playing that important game or wake up 6 a.m. because you're going to have like a running session, all these things. I remember we started into business, it was like, okay, so making decisions, being on a desk, that can make me money. When I come from all these, which is completely different. Like one is mental, the other one, which mental can also be very draining, of course, after like long hours. But for me, the change was like, this sport is way harder than business in general.
Yeah.
Do you feel that with your companies?
Yeah, I guess so. They're all, my companies at the moment are just byproducts of my sport, really. So as long as I'm good at that, like those were going to be pretty fruitful. And then obviously try and manage them to try and not attach them to myself. But yeah, like those hard days, especially when you're a kid, when you've been doing, like, you know, you're out playing football from 8, but you're training 3 times a week. I was doing multiple sports. You know, if you're in any talent team, in any like youth teams at a high level, like you're getting drilled at 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. So you're kind of maybe unconsciously, maybe consciously. For me, it was unconsciously learning lessons of how to work hard physically. I think physical exertion as a young kid taught me a lot of how to just keep showing up, and definitely armed me with skills of just being like, oh, okay, this isn't as hard as getting up at 6 a.m. and going in the pouring rain and having to work absolutely till you can't lift your legs up anymore. So yeah, definitely a little bit.
In the business side, I feel like you're in an industry that is one of the most saturated, where because of the barrier to entry is so low, and anybody with semi-decent genetics and a 6-month diet can look like a personal trainer. And everybody's competing for a very small or the same pool of clients for coaching or for selling merch, or, you know, it's a very saturated industry and probably only growing with new young people coming onto the scene. What do you do to stand out in your industry?
I like to think that me personally, I think people probably describe me as quite authentic. Kind of just say it how it is. I've always, like, you could probably pick up a piece of content of mine from 5 years ago. I've got a lot more knowledge now, but I probably sound the same mannerisms, same effort, same mindset, same hunger. You could hear all that in my voice back then, I think. Same honesty. I've kind of kept it real the whole way through with everything that I've tried to do, which I think gets lost because, I mean, honestly, like the algorithms and the way things work, they work off how many clicks you get. And if what clicks is something you don't believe in, but you got the clicks there, well, a lot of people go, well, I need to keep doing that because I'm getting rewarded for it. And then they get lost from who they really are. And I think that's something I've just tried to avoid. Like, yeah, I could do 10,000 calorie challenges and all the different things that get hits at the moment, but I'm a bodybuilder. I'm not going to do that. I could collaborate. The amount of collaborations I've had to turn down because I need to do my training program. Like, I'm not going to come and do this training program because it doesn't work. Like, I have to do my thing. So we either do that or we don't collaborate. So that's kind of just the mentality. I think people respect that as well. I think how hungry I've been for my goal and been unwavered in that. I think people have really built on that. And for me, one of the biggest things for me was just never, ever missing a DM. Never, ever missing an opportunity to give back to anyone who's followed me. And never, ever turned anyone down, really. Just consistently and always been there for my audience. Because
that's incredible, because when it grows to a certain size, you could spend hours.
You could slide through my DMs, you could click on any of them, there's a whole conversation. Any of them, unless it's a new person, there's going to be a conversation.
When I just sent the DM of, hey, I see you're in Dubai, let's do a podcast if you're down.
That's
your reply was like
it's
that. I was like, no way.
It's like I built it to just be like breathing. It's just what I do. Just reply because it just means so much to people. It means so much to me. Like I wouldn't be shit without these guys. You know.
Do you coach more the average person, let's say like myself, or is more people that are into competing, or do you have both?
I would say I definitely got both. I'd say I've got people who are relatively serious about their physique. I don't compete too many I don't coach too many competitors. I think there's better people for it. I think I'm too much of an athlete myself, which requires a lot of focus, alongside just being able to arm like but being able to arm people with like the knowledge that I've got, like that can change their life forever, rather than just like these competitors who are just, they'll say yes to anything. I kind of get a lot more satisfaction out of that. I feel like it's like I'm giving people life skills. So it's kind of a bit more satisfaction. And I've fallen into that niche as well. And I think, as you said, the saturation of the industry has got bigger and bigger. The people who are right at the top of the competitive game have been solely in competitors for the last 5, 6, 7 years. So they're probably just better at coaching like athletes than me. So
if it's their primary thing, then
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So,
I also wanted to touch upon the fact that, Josh, you don't have followers, and in the sense of people mislabel an audience where you just see a subscriber count versus a community, which you have.
Yeah.
And it's the thing you said of, sure, you can make polarizing content, sure, you can make the clickbait challenges, whatever, but just because somebody clicks and watches your video and even presses subscribe doesn't mean they have any respect for you. Doesn't mean they're going to buy anything from you. Doesn't mean they're going to take your advice. But the way you've navigated yourself is always true to yourself. And one thing that's always stood out to me in the time I've been following you is you're very consistent and you're always engaging with your people through Q&As, and even the thing you said about the DMs. Now, whenever somebody thinks to, I want to get coaching, or I want to do something, you're going to be the first person in their mind.
For sure.
Because you've taken that time to build with your audience, as opposed to just having a subscriber count. And that will definitely pay dividends in your endeavors in business.
For sure.
Yeah. Pivoting off that, you have, I guess, many things going on in the business sense, where you have multiple businesses, probably sponsorships, probably, I don't know, paid promotions, all these kind of things. So in the business sphere, what kind of things are you working on?
So I have a online coaching business, which you touched upon. So that is just coaching people who want to change their physiques. I don't really care who they are. If they're willing to work, I'm willing to work with them. Okay. So I have a really, really good roster of people there, which is like, as this business, that's like my main profit. That's my living money. That's the money that if I want to spend something, I'll spend from that pot. I then, as I grew, looking at Guzman, people like that, Christian Guzman, who built Alphalete, $100 million company, has incredible things going on. I knew very, very early on, probably like 2 years into the influencing, I've been doing this for 8, 9 years maybe, that I had to have something else. The coaching was going to run out. The spice of me was going to run out. I can't bodybuild forever. Can't look like this forever. Can't be a coach forever. There are older coaches, but like that was never going to be my my passion project. The thing that really set my fire, other than competing in bodybuilding. So I knew I needed to create something else. So I originally created something attached to my name. Actually, my coaching was Josh Bridgman Fitness, so I called it JBF and realized very, very quickly that I needed to disassociate my name really, really quickly. So I completely rebranded within about 3 or 4 months of starting that. We started off with just some hoodies. I called it One More Rep, 1MR.
I like the name.
Pretty broy, but it's a mindset. It's a this is the caption. It's a mindset. It's a lifestyle. You know, one more rep in everything. Doesn't matter whether it's in the gym. Doesn't matter whether it's at home. It doesn't matter when things get hard. There's always one more to give. Trust me, you can go so much further than you think you can. And that's what bodybuilding taught me. Like when you're scraping the barrels of energy, concentration, mental, cognitive attitude, cognitive ability, relationships, like this, you still keep moving. You still keep moving. There's always one more. So I kind of coined that. And from that built like we'd call it e-commerce brand, but a brand that specializes in accessories. I found a little bit of a niche there as the evolution of bodybuilding took place. It was a very, very a big movement in biomechanics and improving actually the traditional bodybuilding sense of bench press, lat pull downs, deadlift. There's better ways to do things that work for people's body types, people's arm length, people's hip lengths. Not everyone can squat to the floor. Not everyone can do a bench press without shoulder pain. So there was a big movement of that. They introduced things like cuffs. So I don't know if anyone out here uses cuffs, but like you can use elbow cuffs on the wrist, on the elbows to train your delts, to train your chest. And it became a really, really big movement. You couldn't find these cuffs anywhere. And if you could, they were like £25 for one, £50 for another. Times up for 250 dirhams each. Like it was an extortionate amount. So I thought, all right, let's try and make some. Made a few, made them specific for bodybuilders, made them wider for bigger arms, made them softer so they didn't cut in, branded them nicely. And now we've probably sold like 20,000 pairs of cuffs.
Oh wow!
To this day,
huge, bro.
which is kind of crazy.
So what's actually the benefit of them as opposed to using a dumbbell? You want to put the load on the joint.
So you'll reduce the joint pressure. You'll actually take the wrist out of it. So if you have any wrist pain, so if people got arthritis, elbow pain, you'll actually get it'll actually
probably a better contraction.
It's a better exactly. So it's a better contraction. Without getting too technical, it creates a bigger drop off in actual weight as it gets closer to the center of your body, which is congruent to what the pec needs to do. It needs to drop off a little bit as you press, which actually a dumbbell does, but a cuff will do it better. So it was really, really simple, became like a big, big movement. Like they're everywhere now, 20,000, so it's crazy. And then I just went, I had to do this with everything. I had to make everything a little bit better. I had to make the standard lifting strap better and for a bodybuilder.
By the what's it called? Not trader. By the bodybuilder for the bodybuilder.
Exactly.
Look at it like that.
Exactly that. So
you were using it and then made a product.
So I just started revamping everything. Knee sleeves, I always found are too short for my big legs, so I made them longer. You know, we use wrist straps that are normally material based. Well, they give you like carpet burn. So I made soft leather ones. You know, so that was kind of where the business came into its like that was the USP. A lot of people got behind the brand, the movement, the mindset behind it. So then I found it's a little bit of an opportunity to build some merch into it. You know, so hoodies, t-shirts, shorts, socks, hats, all those types of things. And now we're probably at that point where there's enough buzz about the company that we can start dropping full lines of clothing like regularly, and people are going to buy it.
Okay,
Started off with a hoodie. Now we can do that with the core products being.
So it sounds like it's ascended beyond your name and your audience to. Sure. I'm sure there's customers that maybe don't even follow you, but it's also now people are falling for the philosophy of it, the ethos of one more rep, what it means, as opposed to just supporting an influencer that I like.
Exactly, and that was a big part of probably two and a half years ago, starting to build a team to help me move that into just people not knowing me. It's the best thing ever. Going onto the One of My page and looking through the orders, and they don't follow me. Okay, perfect. Wow. This is what I want.
What's your daily focus between bodybuilding and business? Because now you're doing a lot of stuff and you're competing, which is not like a chill, like me. I go to the gym for an hour. Probably that's not what you're doing. So how do you manage that?
So it's not as bad as you think. So I train 1.5 hours a day, 5 days a week. I have 2 days off completely. I'll do a bit of cardio every day as well. That's only 20 minutes to and from in my apartment building. Coaching, I'll probably spend something like 3 to 4 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, with maybe 2 to 3 hours on One of each of those days, and then Friday and Saturdays I can go a little bit heavier on the One of stuff. I'm building a team to take a lot of the things around me. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I don't have all of the knowledge on marketing, on e-commerce, on how to price things properly, on moving dead stock, on delivery, and I'm learning all this stuff and going, well, there's a lot of words that I didn't know like 2 years ago. So instead of me trying to learn it all, like I have outsourced a lot of it. So I just went to the Maldives for 10 days. Nothing stopped. Don't need to do anything. Didn't need to post. All the orders are still going out. The posts are still going up on Instagram. The marketing's still working. So, did you start off as like more of the drop shipping model where? No,
it was. You had the stock first, and then you ship it out yourself.
Straight to my living room. Okay. Me and my mum used to package it.
Yeah.
I bought a labeler for a stupid amount of money, which I didn't need to do because there's someone I could pay to do it. Made all those mistakes in my infancy. Just found someone in my local town who had a warehouse when it got too much for my living room. And then I basically gave him so much to work. He just quit his job and became a distributor for us. And then he distributes other people now. So now it all just goes to him, and it's still in that same place. So now it's kind of like drop shippy. So
what does the team look like now to get this autonomy where it's not reliance on you, and you've got that leverage of people that have the talent where you were lacking?
So we have obviously email marketers. I have like a social media, I'd say person, but that person is part of a team of people who will help the background on the website. Have a customer care person who's actually my dad still. Oh, nice. Keep him work. He retired, so I was like, you want a bit of money per month? He's like, yeah. I was like, keep him on customer care. So he does all the emails. So I don't need to look at any emails. I don't need to look at any responses on the One of our on the Instagram page, of which is 30, 40 a day. All of the returns, orders, packaging, stock checks, anything like that is all in the warehouse in the UK. And all I do pretty much is product development, product design as such. I wouldn't design it specifically, but the ideas would come to life for me. And then that's pretty much it at the moment. We're just trying to build a lot of processes to make everything seamless, smooth. And then when the next opening or the next level up is there, I'll be looking for the next person.
Does the majority of your clicks and therefore revenue come from directly like a swipe up link on your socials, or is it maybe in the follow up through email? Or how would you attribute the sales in terms of revenue drivers?
So email marketing blew my mind. It blew my mind.
For most people, yeah.
I'm like, what's going on here? I delete every email I get. I'm like, surely it's not going to work. We did it. Did the first month we did 10K from email revenue. I was like, okay, this actually works. So probably at this moment, it's probably about 25% coming from email revenue.
It's incredible.
Email marketing. I'd probably say the rest of that comes from direct searches, and then maybe 20-25% will come from me directly.
Okay.
From my
So it's a fairly autonomous brand. Okay. Yeah. Do you have anything in there? Because what I find in a lot of businesses, I don't know if you thought about it, but a lot of people, when they're in their career, as you are, maybe not thinking past 35, but right now everything is going to be working fine because you're in shape and you're posting and you're consistent. So everything is going to flourish because you're holding it down. Yeah. And as your subscriber count grows, the audience grows, more people are clicking onto the website, and it's just going to work nicely. But I've experienced a lot of guys who they kind of exhaust their audience and they don't build it in the same way that you have. Well, they'll reach a point where I'm not making revenue unless I get more subscribers because all of my subscribers don't want to buy anymore. I've milked them. Have you got anything in there in mind of how do I make this a business beyond the good days, which is now, to kind of last your life? And have you got anything that can kind of bring you recurring revenue from a customer, therefore lifetime value of a customer?
That's been a big thing on my mind, which is why actually I originally was going to stay away from the clothing drops because our essence was the accessories and being very smart with training. But like when you make a good product, it doesn't break often, so people don't come back that often. And I'm like, I need to fix that problem. So that's where kind of either new products, either new designs on products, or obviously clothing drops are going to help generate a lot more revenue there. Other than that, I do think like looking at the biggest companies that are kind of my rivals as such, they're multi-million dollar companies. So the market is much bigger than what I'm dipping in right now. I'm just in the UK, really. 80 to 90, probably 90% of our orders in the UK. So definitely expansion is going to completely widen our horizons for sure. If I can break into the US market, like that's just untapped potential right there.
Do you have ambitions of growing your thing more just like Pokemon, or you have goals to make it like the big names in the industry and you want to compete?
I definitely do. I've also got other businesses which I think could, or I've got one business idea in the back of my head which I think could, which is a much more, it's like consumable, right? So it's like you got to keep coming back for it, which I realized as you go forward, because you can see the patterns of buying. You can see when the core products of that, like for example, so we've sold 20,000 cuffs. Like, there's only so many people that can buy cuffs. I understand that, right?
And they're not going to buy 10 each.
And they're not going to buy 10 each. So like my brain is obviously ticking in the background to think about other things. So new markets for sure. We've still got a lot of new products that we can bring out, which I'm really confident. We've also not done any like variation in product. Like it's a black cuff, it's black knee sleeves, it's black this. So there's a lot of like variation you can make alongside those, which can obviously help repeat purchase. Expanding through influencer marketing, of course, is going to have to be a big thing as well. I don't think as it is, I don't see the like $100 million mark. I don't think that's like a thing that's like feasible. I don't think it's an Alphalete or a Gymshark or a
not feasible or not a goal you have.
Yeah, not a goal that I have. Not a goal that I have. I don't think that the passion that I have is in the functional side of things. So just giving someone some really good quality clothing and hoping people buy it. Like I don't really have a buzz for it. Whereas if you buy Alphalete, you can tell how good it is. If you buy Lululemon, you can tell the quality of it. I'm like, I'm not into that though. I'm like, maybe I employ someone who is into that and they do it for me. but that doesn't feel right in kind of growing the business. So I think we're just going to double down on what we're good at the moment, the core products.
You're basically right now developing new lines. Have you ever thought, I mean, I know you are very deep onto your bodybuilding and competition, but maybe when you have a bit more of time, have you ever thought about One Rep being like a bigger brand, but not only on the lines of clothing, but like a brand where people can actually go to the gyms and they feel proud of being on the One Rep group or gyms, or like, you know what I mean? Like
For
more
sure,
horizontally speaking of the vision of the brand.
Yeah, for sure. That definitely comes into my mind. I think just financially, I'm not in a place to be able to do that. I would love to just have a big pot of money. Like, okay, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this. I just don't. I'm not at that point yet. I think I can already feel like as the money pot grows, as the revenue grows, like my brain's going, now this is possible. Now this door's open. Now this door's open, right? And moving to Dubai, like the amount of tax and VAT that I've been paying over the last like 3, 4, 5, 6 years.
Yep.
Like now, it's just opened up 40% more for me. I'm like, okay, well now this has opened a lot of doors. So 100%, like I've got a huge passion to open a gym one day. Is that one more gym? Like, I don't know, maybe it is.
It's very cool. I mean, just seeing like how you speak, your sort of character and kind of obsession you have for bodybuilding, and that has like a timing. Like you're not gonna be competing until 45 most likely.
And it's recurring revenue.
Yeah, so I think
I think you're more capable of making a better gym, because a lot of these are more just change-ins and they just put in whatever's functional, minimal machines to kind of cover all the movements.
Sure.
But the reason certain gyms like Benus and others around here that do so well is because they have incredible machines, and the bodybuilder knows what exactly they want. So you'd definitely be in a position to make an incredible...
I could beat Benos as well.
Yeah, you definitely can. You actually that is not something is a crazy thought.
In my mind. It's 100% in my mind. I just gotta keep walking before I can run, right?
Of course.
Why did you choose, because you're in the digital space, to then choose physical products and services as opposed to a digital product?
So I definitely have digital products still. I do have like through the coaching side, there are training programs. That's pretty much the limit of what you can do. So I do have some digital products. I just it was just a niche I fell into. I just like saw my opportunity and just had to run with it.
You're in the trenches of your career right now,
yes.
And I guess you're hyper focused on the Olympia and that vision that you have. But obviously, there's the other side of the business. What is your immediate goals in terms of the next 1-2 years that you'd like to achieve in business?
I would like to turn over $1 million with Wanamar in the next 2 years, for sure.
And what do you think is going to get you there?
Not being out of stock.
Not
being out of stock.
Problem.
That's a good problem.
I thought you were going to say not paying tax.
that's going to help 40% straight there. Not being out of stock, being ahead of the game. That's one thing that I've been very reactive, not proactive, and I've realized that lesson midway through the end of last year.
What's been the bottleneck of not having enough stock? Is it more cash flow issues, or you're growing at a rate that you just surpass the orders every time?
Me, not understanding how to have the system in place to estimate when it's going to run out, just willy-nilly ordering, overbuying certain things, which you have to wait to get through to be able to do that, which all have been fixed now, so that should never happen again. Like there's like I just naive in business.
Do you have a mentor in business?
I don't.
So you're learning as you go along.
Learn as I go along. Try and employ people that are better than me. Try and learn from people that are better than me.
Do you have a coach yourself in when you compete?
I do.
Okay, interesting.
Indeed, yes.
And what are the reasons for that? Because you've competed enough times to know your body, know yourself, know what you need to do.
I think it's a extremely high pressure environment to worry so much. Something that I really, 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 really care about, along with running so many businesses, to be able to take myself out of it and have complete trust in someone who's better than me, does this for a job, coaches, competitors. I think it takes one big stress off my back.
Is that more for the medical side, or more like the accountability and the when you're in the emotions of the moment, he can be a third eye?
Yeah, probably the second one there.
Okay.
Sure.
For the new upcoming bodybuilders, what would you say, or what things you wish you knew, let's say 10 years ago, 7 years ago?
If they want to build a career out of it, don't focus on just bodybuilding, because you don't earn any money doing that unless you're the best in the world, and it takes a long time to get there.
Okay, that's a
Excellent
good
stuff.
advice.
I think we'll end it there. Josh, thank you very much for coming on.
Appreciate you guys.
And when you are back in Dubai and you need any help, do let us know. And we'll keep rooting for you from behind the scenes
100%.
to get that million revenue.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, boss.